Welcome to today's knife build video. I was thinking of doing a stacked handle on this. I traced it over to the paper. The issue that I'm having here is these areas will be left too thin and maybe brittle. So I don't think I'll be doing a stacked handle. And the other issue is I would not have enough meat on the micarta or the G10, whichever I choose to use on this. I wouldn't have enough material over here left on the spine. Thickness of it wouldn't suffice for the hard use of the knife. So instead I will just do a regular sandwich. I don't like this strongly pronounced guard, so I will be taking that off, moving the finger notch up a bit, just a little bit. The rest I will leave as is. I will probably round off this corner here as well, and done. This is the same knife as you see here, and I actually got this blank for a very cheap price. I think it was around $30 for both of the blanks. Well, I got them separate and each cost about $30, and then maybe about $12 for the scales, the handles, and another 10 or 15 for the sheath. So you can put this knife together for about $50-60, which is a complete steel, as this is PGK steel. It's a very good rolled steel that has exceptional edge retention, decent corrosion resistance, very tough steel. So this is how it looks approximately, with the exception that from the factory this would have black screws. I put this on, but that is basically the factory sheath and the factory design of the knife out of the box. So I want to imitate somewhat this shape, obviously, because I won't be changing the steel part of the handle much. So I'll trace out this same shape for the handle, but it will be thicker than this. As you see, this does not have much of a palm swell. I always appreciate a good palm swell on my knives. So yeah, let's start. Now this is all blunt and will have to be sharpened, and what I want to do is to test this as a convex grind on the Canonian Work Sharp sharpener. The belt sharpener has a very mean edge, very robust, but at the same time sharp. So I want to test the edge retention on that against a flat grind, which we will be doing here. Okay, so let me now transition over to the grinding of this, and then we'll put the scales on. Well, actually I forgot to specify these pins. I'll be putting these mosaic pins. One will go in the center, hole, and this mosaic pin will go into this hole and that hole. And also these are see-through holes on the pin, which I will be filling with luminescent glue. Okay, let's get to work. I need to tape this off to protect this side. Here I will be working, so I need to look at it. But all of this I need to tape off. So we're all taped up on the blade side. So I have fixed this in this Stanley vise that has a rotatable top section of the vise, and you can put it in basically almost any position. So again, we're taking off some of this extra guard. Let's look at the side profile now. That's what's cool about this vise, is that you can rotate it in different ways. For now that should be it. Yeah, that seems about right. The rest will be finished up and made pretty once I put the scales on, which now I can trace out the scales. So here I have traced two sides of the scale. This is a micarta, I don't know what kind, linen micarta. Yeah, looks like linen micarta. I've used it on another Skinner knife before, and it comes out beautiful. Also, I will be using this thick 1.2 millimeter or 1.5 millimeter, sorry, this is 1.5 millimeter liner G10. So I've traced that. I will now cut this and glue it on here, and then this will be retraced over here again from new. Then it will be cut into two and put into shape, etc. So now I will cut this off and glue this to the micarta with some epoxy, slow curing epoxy. Next thing to do now is to sand these down, scratch it up well so that they stick together well when we epoxy them. So let's use this side. I will rinse it off, then put some soap on it and wash it off very well. Let it dry fully before I glue them together. Okay, so these are now washed, ready, but I still want to use some rubbing alcohol. I washed them with soap, but just in case. And I will also clean out the mixing cup for the epoxy. Now the epoxy that I use when I'm making a hard use knife, scale, is or anything that I just the best epoxy that I have, basically 3M Scotch Weld DP 420 off-white. Well, there's, I believe, two colors of this. It is 400 milliliters, so 13.5 ounces, and it costs actually about the same price as a couple of Mora Carbergs. It's in the 150 USD range. I got it on sale for I think 70 or 75 US dollars. Very good, strong stuff. 20-minute work life, toughened for impact resistance, high peel and shear strength. So perfect for a knife blade, even though it was made for automotive use. I believe it was made for automotive use. Okay, Now I need to take this thing off. It's a bit of a hassle to use every time. It has this actually well thought out. Otherwise, if you don't separate these two, you will just glue together. The way this is set up is when you push out, if you have the gun, that costs another, I think, like $60, and I don't have it. I just saved up on the gun, and instead I'm using plastic pipes to push this through the epoxy. It's what's called a two-part epoxy, if that's not obvious already. Usually when you have micarta or G10, it should hopefully have at least two true sides or one true corner, the 45-degree corner. So, sorry, 90-degree corner. So you want to maintain that for reference when I will be cutting in the middle. So the way I want to glue this on top is to make sure that this edge is exposed just a little bit, just 1 millimeter or half a millimeter, like that would be enough. That way I know that these are flat sides and a true corner. Okay, let me continue mixing this up. I believe this has some miniature particles, just like carbon fiber would, so it's not just glue. I was reading something about maybe it's this 3M glue or another one also for automotive use, but this basically replaces metal and is stronger than metal. So when they say it's best to have a one-piece micarta or G10 handle without liners and fancy stuff, that's what they mean, is when it's glued on. But usually when the scales are glued, they're still aided with some sort of pins, maybe even mosaic pins, decorative pins. So those serve the function of sticking the two sides together and not letting them slide. So one way or the other, you're still secure in that sense. So what I'll do now is just kind of move it around to spread the glue everywhere and evenly. And then I will pull these two apart to make sure that the glue has spread evenly. I'm seeing a tiny bit corner missed. Now you may think that it would need some pressure. Not necessarily so, but let's still put something on top of this, just like a flat weight. So this thing is my spot welder, and it has some very heavy batteries inside, which should help. It's about 2 kilos probably, at least. Okay, I guess I'll have to clamp it down for 2 hours and then I'll be back. So this is how I ended up clamping it down. I put it on flat on one side and used 4 clamps basically. And so I'll leave it for 2 hours now. When I come back it should be hard enough to start cutting and shaping. Okay, so I've glued the liners, the G10 liners, to the micarta, and they're looking nice. Now I need to temporarily super glue these two together to contour both sides evenly and drill holes. So let's do that. How we do that is just like we did on the liners. I'll scratch up a couple of points where I will just put one drop of this super glue on, which will hold it just enough to, should hold it enough to drill it, etc. So this will be glued like such, and that means let's glue them somewhere here. Of course all of this will later be contoured as well, so it doesn't matter if it's scratched up now. None of this top layer will remain once I start shaping the handle. I'm working here, or I'm trying to. So I'll just basically go by this and this corner, and the spine will be left uneven, and that will be then ground down. Okay, oh, we don't need much. That should be enough, hopefully. This super glue doesn't set very quick. It gives you some time, especially on this type of surfaces that would not soak it in. Things that do soak it in faster, it works. So I'll give it a few minutes here, and once that's dried I can then start drilling holes. One hole here, one hole here, at least one hole in the middle. So while the scales are drying, I trued the corner. This is new, I just started using it today. It's a tiny grinder, disc grinder and a belt grinder, but works surprisingly well. I didn't expect it to work this well. Anyway, I want to make this a sharp edge, not a sharp edge, but a 90-degree edge, so that it can strike a fire rod. Also want to round off this corner as well as this side a bit, or no, that doesn't need much, but yeah, so let's do that. Starting to look better. There we go. Now a 90-degree spine. You may be asking yourself, why am I not doing it here on the belt grinder? Because that is way more efficient than taking the metal away. But I'm not doing it because it has about 2 or 3 millimeters. So basically it will convex. It has some give, the belt does, to the to this wall. So this one is hard against aluminum. It's glued against aluminum. Oh, that's a mean 90-degree edge. Okay, what else did I want to do here? I don't remember. I think that was it, yeah? This should be glued now. Let's see. Can we start drilling? I think so. That should be okay. And then obviously you'll see how I take this apart, but basically you'll put this on some sort of hard surface like steel, an anvil or something, leave the other half away and just lightly whack it with a hammer, lightly, and it will come off. So while doing that, you want to heat the micarta, not the G10, because you won't come apart because of the epoxy that I've used. It's some crazy epoxy, but still. Anyway, stop the rant. Now we're drilling. There we go. We need 1 hole, 2 hole. After a while looking at the blade, I don't want this sharp corner here. I already have the original design that has that, with that rubberized resin plastic handle, and so I already have that, and I want this to be more of an exquisite piece, you know. So I think I will round this off as it shows here. So now I can use the belt, and then I'll finish off here. I could do this with a grinding machine, angle grinder, but the edge here will be much rougher. I can finish off then on the belt, but it's more comfortable to work on the belt grinder. Slow going. I mean, it's taking the metal away, but it's quite slow. Let me see here. Well, that's doing a faster job just because it is hard backing. But I don't want to spoil the disc either, so I guess I'll just take my time. Let's see if I can use this round part. It would be nice to have a smaller one so I could round this off. Otherwise I'll have to do this with my Dremel tool, which will take forever. That looks like it's enough. Yeah, I don't want to take too much away. And then the rest here I'll have to clean up nicely. Okay. Let's see, how much did we change? Not much. And doesn't give us any difference in terms of putting holes on it. So let's go do that now. My lighting here It's not ideal for this work, but I got it centered, so I'll drill the first hole. You want to take your time while doing this, because the G10 and micarta do get the drill bit hot, so just do it but a little bit. So make sure that mosaic pin goes through, and it does. Very tight, exactly what we want. Now we need the second hole, and how we'll do that is by placing the knife over, like so, and that makes sure that we're in line with this. This time I need to use the knife as my guide to make sure that once I drill that hole, the mosaic pin goes through. First of all, this is blunt, but it could still kill me, but I'm not afraid because it is fixed in there and fixed in here, so there's nowhere it can go. The knife comes off and we continue drilling. Before I had this drill press, I used to do this by hand, and I just struggled because going through several pieces of different material and straight vertically was just hard. I didn't really use any templates. I guess I could have used templates, but I did not. Okay, so with the right tools, this work becomes a breeze. Now we cut the mosaic pin, place another one in there, and continue. We need one hole in the middle for this large pin, for which we have this huge drill bit. So let's do that next. I guess I can do that freehand because I don't have to be exact there. It's a huge hole on the knife. See? So I don't have to be exact. I'll just shoot in the middle here. That seems to be okay, and we need to drill another hole. I'll have to take off these marker lines and redraw after the actual holes are drilled. but that's okay. Part of the process. Nothing is ever exact. Now this is going to take a bit longer probably. You want to go slow with the higher, with a wider drill bit. Just for good measure though, I will re-drill from the other side, and that will make it easy. Well, this does go in easy, so I guess that is enough. Okay, that's it basically. Now we retrace and start grinding this off. Beautiful. But what I want to do is retrace this side because it is lower. As you can see, this is lower. So if I do this right, then obviously the other one will follow. And for me to retrace that side, let's see here. So this is a really cool rubber thing that's used to clean off the gunk of your sandpaper. So let's see it in action. Look at that. You see how it cleaned it off? And it doesn't take much. To wear a mask. Gonna wear this mask, which is a nice mask actually, by Miller. Okay, now I need to flatten this. The rest of the finishing works will be done once glued on. I want to leave just a bit of extra on the inside where I will finish it off by hand. So yeah, I want to get this flat and then put some angles on it. But I need to drill those holes based on. So what I want to do is like a mosaic of my own with carbon rods and loomed epoxy. So I'll drill 2 more holes here. Let me just check that I'm alright to do that. Am I alright to do that? In terms of, so there will be 3 mosaic pins of copper and stainless steel and just mixed materials, and then there will be a larger one in the middle, and then 2 loomed no, they're not going to be pins, but they're going to serve the same function, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Okay, I need to now separate these 2. So I'll try to use the vise. I can show you. So I'm hitting it here maximum flat side, you know, not to create any dings. And slowly, this is rubber. There we go. That's all it takes. Now I need to re-glue it here, actually, is what I need to do. Like so. Gonna glue red liners here. Okay, let's see how this sits on the knife now. Okay, so at this stage I have prepared the basic contouring shape is done. It basically follows the steel on all of the sides with the exception of the belly here. There's about a millimeter left, which I will have to do by hand because I don't have the proper grinder to do these contours well. Okay, so I've sanded these down with a very rough sandpaper and done the same with the steel. You want to do that because in the process of tracing it with markers, etc., you place paint on it. Also, maybe there's some machine oil or residual oils from the factory, so you want to make sure to first scrub this down with sandpaper as much as you can, and then wash this off very well. Afterwards, now the final step before gluing still is to degrease it with rubbing alcohol, and that optimizes the grip to the glue. And you want to do the same with the pins as well, and the pins are also scratched up with rough sandpaper, as you probably can tell, scratched up. You see, that's the paint of the marker. Even though I washed this out, put my finger in there, still this rubbing alcohol is taking more. Now that just adds to the grip, as I said. When I come to glue this now soon, it will just increase that grip that much, so why not? Well, let's mix the epoxy, that special epoxy that I have from 3M. Also, before gluing this, I want to cover one side with this strong, I think this is for automotive paint use, with this tape, same tape I'm using to mask the blade. I want to put it on here so that when I turn this over, the pins do not protrude, and hopefully there won't be a lot of epoxy gunk on the other side. This side that I won't be having access to later, this I can scrape off, sure, but this part you want to cover just so you don't have to scrape anything away or send it away afterwards. Once this is glued onto the handle, that's going to be hard to mess with. Actually, I don't need any of that there. Where I do need that tape is right here, just a bit more. Sorry. Covered on both sides. We're we're safe to start gluing. There we go. This needs to be mixed very well until it becomes one. So this is 20-minute work time, this epoxy, and it says at 21 degrees Celsius, which is normal room temperature, it dries in 2 hours if mixed correctly. You don't need too much of this. I've seen people put just excessive amounts of epoxy on both sides of the scales and the knife, and then when they press it together it all ekes out. This type of layering is plenty. You just make sure that it covers all areas and there are no missed spots. Otherwise you don't really need much. These 2 holes I'm leaving out for now, and I'll be doing my own mosaic out of some mosaic pins and carbon rods. That should be interesting. And that's 2. You want to rotate it a few times, bring it in and out to make sure that you don't have any air bubbles. Otherwise there may be an air bubble under there, so that it is all filled with glue nicely. Now let's put some over here. Again, not much. That's plenty good. Press that down. As you see, some epoxy seeped through. That's what we want to see. Now if you're doing this to a blade that has any type of coating, make sure to take that off. Don't worry about rust, because the epoxy will protect it. It's waterproof obviously, so it will protect it from any rust, because otherwise you're just bonding I don't want my 20 minutes to run out. It sucks when that happens. That's good. Perfect. And the center pin. I have 3 large dogs, and one of them gave birth to 4 puppies. Well, actually 5. American Akitas, lovely puppies. They are making havoc. So you don't want to just push this down. Rotating, I find, is better for pushing out the air bubbles, as I said. So don't forget to do that. That's an important step. And then keep rotating for a while once it is fully placed, just like so. That all came out very nice, just as expected. No surprises. Now I want to wipe away any excess, then press it down, wipe away any excess again. So 4 clamps, 2 spring loaded and 2 with these pushing lever things. So leave this for 2 hours now, and I'll pick it up, continue recording. See you then. Okay, so by now I've glued the scales both sides. This is final gluing, and placed 3 pins in there. So the remaining 2 holes I'm filling with these carbon fiber rods, which are black. I'll also put this tube in there, and then a thicker carbon fiber rod. I believe this is 2 or 3 mil, and that's 1.5. And once I polish all of this, it should look beautiful. Plus I will be adding, I've got this Art and Glow neutral green glow powder, so I'll be mixing that. Refer your friend. Yeah, I'll be mixing that with my epoxy. So I have so this is 2-part epoxy that I need to mix 3-to-1, and so I'll do 4 grams in total. That should be more than plenty. I won't even use all of it. Now I'll add 1 gram of this. That's it. That's our 4 grams. You don't want this too gooey and thick. In my case, I want this rather thin. Don't need that anymore. And so let's start filling this thing. So I'm also circling this thing around because it is so tight. I'm afraid it's not seeping through on the outside of this ring. So just like so, I'm putting this epoxy around. That's going to be ground away anyway, but it will make sure that we get glue in there. Okay, that's good. Next step will be to place this bronze, it's bronze, and then we place again a wider 3mm rod inside that rod, and it should all come out beautiful in the end. So I see a bubble popping as I do this, which means it's being filled, and I want to do that slow. Make sure that all the air bubbles are out, and that's important. There we go. Now FYI, once I finish this, I will then take it to a heat gun, and with very slow heat just warm up that handle, so that, again, just to make sure that the epoxy seeps through. Okay, that's it for today. I will now take this over to the heat gun, and from the underneath just warm it up slightly. I will let it dry for today. Tomorrow sand it flush and come back with an update. So after gluing these mosaic fins in, these are not really, yeah, they're mosaic fins, but I made them. I guess these are also made by humans, aren't they? Anyway, this is what it looks like from this side. So before I start contouring anything, obviously I want to have a look at this. So I'll grind this down. So I will now make the shape here the approximate shape that I want, you know, that Coke bottle shape, and grind most of it away with that grinder, and then finish off the contouring by hand and a strip of rough grid sandpaper. So this is the next day. Yesterday I contoured the handle. As you saw in my video, when I was trying to do it with the belt sander, the belt snapped on me. I don't have another belt, but that doesn't mean we stop. I just finished off on the disc sander, and the rest I did by hand. So now this is done by 80 grit, which is a bit too high. Very good for gripping the handle, but because I have so much contouring on both, you know, 3D contouring, this has plenty of grip. And so I will be sending this down farther, maybe even polish it. I'll see as it goes, but at this stage the shaping of the handle is done, so there won't be any change to that. And what I want to do is I intentionally used these pins that have holes in here, if you can see, and I want to fill those holes with the same loomed powder mixed with glue. So these two mosaic pins I did myself. It has the carbon fiber rods, such as this. It's a carbon fiber rod, all in the circle, and one larger diameter rod inside this pin. So in order to, how I'll do this is I want a lot of that loom. Oh, by the way, this is how, you see, nice. So I will pour some powder in here, then pour glue inside, and then finish off by doing the same on the other side. So I need to close off by, I've got this kept on tape. I think it should work okay on glue. There we go. So powder has gone through fully, and that's good. Now I need this pin to make sure that when I put glue on top of here, it goes through. And I'm using super glue in this case because I need very low viscosity. It needs to be very runny so that it seeps through these holes well. Let's see how we do. Actually, you know what? I can put powder, I can fill this with powder, then glue this side, let it dry, take off the, so glue will seep through. So I've been making this knife for what, this is the 4th day, I believe. And while epoxying does take some time, I do use relatively quick fix epoxy, 2 hours. So I do give it 3 hours actually before I start sanding it down. But that would enable, if I had a proper 2x72 belt grinder with a good contact wheel and so forth, I would do this knife, I would finish probably in
one day, and I could maybe even work simultaneously on a couple of blades. It does take me forever doing it by hand, but it also allows, because you're sanding by hand, you're not taking away material so fast, so you have plenty of time to correct any mistakes. And for your personal use, it kind of adds that much, just a little bit more personalization, I guess, and value, sentimental value, knowing that you spent days just on doing the handle, for example. And now we just put the glue on top of here, and it will seep through into the powder. I know this because it's not my first time doing this loomed powder, gluing it and stuff. I've done it before. And you don't need a lot of it to seep through, just enough, say 1 millimeter, and that's more than plenty. Let's have a look. Yeah, glowing nicely. Beautiful. This is what I mixed yesterday. It's also glowing, but it's epoxy, it's hardened by now. Beautiful. After sanding down the super glue, this is how we are looking now, and the remaining work on the handle is just to sand it down with finer grit paper and make it smooth, and then to buff it out. At that stage the handle is done, and then I'll need to sharpen the blade. So I'm done shaping and finishing the handle. It came out very nice, extremely comfortable. Wide point here by the palm swell. You know, the contouring for me, this is perfect. It's your common, well, highly regarded Coke bottle shape, but I like to leave a thicker neck than the bottom part or the lower part. Just simple logic, you know. This is a larger circle, the middle part is the largest, and then it comes down, shrinks down to a smaller circle, and that's why it's logical to make it that way. Now all is left is to sharpen the blade. I put a bit too much scotch tape on this, I realize. And I'll be using this Toohr version 3 sharpener to do the sharpening. This is the best sharpener I could find on the market, basically. I'll do a separate video on this sharpener and comparing it to the other ones, but just so you know, I have the Canonian motorized sharpener, I have the KME sharpener. I understand there are other $300 and $500 sharpeners, which I do not have, but within the price range, and I only paid $70 on Alibaba. Actually, I bought this on Alibaba. I'll put the link in the description if anybody wants to pick this up. These are sold on Amazon also, or at least were sold on Amazon when I was looking for a sharpener. But the thing is, on Amazon it was for $150. I bought this on Alibaba, had it shipped to my place, and came out probably including shipping about, I don't know, $90 max. This is spring loaded, a very, as I said, very well thought out mechanism. Springs there as well, so you're not heating anything. This is spring loaded but also lockable. So I will start off with I have
diamond stones, sharp diamond sticks. I don't know what you call them. But I'll start off with this is a rough grid. I don't know, hopefully it's about 280 or something, I believe. So you put this in, it's straight, and then you can lock it down and you start your sharpening. Now in order to set the angle, you use this, so it goes down and up. And by doing that, you're setting the angle with the sharpening rod and your sharpening pad or stick, rather than moving this up and down. So this is always stationary, and what it does is it just rotates. This is where you can use your electric angle finder and determine the angle. And so this would be your zero right here. You zero it out there. It should be magnetic. It's picking up, yeah. You zero it out there, that would be your zero. And then you set whatever angle you want on this pad. This stone is significantly longer than the KME stones, for example. The other cool thing about this is you can make it even so. On the KME, for instance, I cannot use this stone. It does not have the enough space to place it in here. In this case, you're not limited, and you can, let me move this down, you can get a rather long stone in there, which increases the sharpening efficiency. So you're not limited to what kind, and you can do wider stones as well. Okay, so this is PGK steel. I'm just testing this out. I will now wet the stone. I was just trying to see how long it'll take, and I know that it's gonna take over an hour, maybe even 2 hours to sharpen this knife fully. So I will now switch to recording on time lapse, and you'll just see the process in a more digestible time space or time lapse. So sorry viewers, I finished the handle without recording it because I was trying to finish it up last night, and I actually stayed up all night doing it. I ended up making such a dangler for this, and the blade has been sharpened to a saber grind, so there is a flat grind from here down, and then a saber grind done on a Toohr 3 version 3 sharpening system, which is included in the video, and you see the sharpening system in action. So quick comparison, so this would be the custom sheath. It does have 2 drainage holes, and that's just simple physics. One drainage hole that's large, or 2 if they're small. I couldn't do large ones there at that stage. So this is the custom work, and here is the original. The belt loop is not original, but this is the original knife and the original sheath. So here they are out of the sheath, the handle comparison, shape, and don't get me wrong, this is a very comfortable tactical rubberized handle, but it's mass production. It's not the same quality as handwork and custom shaping, etc. We've got red G10 liners. And if you're interested in a comparison of a convex grind to a saber grind, I will be doing a comparison here soon of these 2 blades, both of which are PGK steel, cold rolled, very interesting, better characteristics, but similar to D2, and quite strong rust resistance. Corrosion resistance is very good on this. So please, if you're interested, stay tuned.